Welcome back to the England Hockey Premier Division Finals, and it is time for the first final. The first time we will get to see the best two teams today, and then later on we'll see it in the men's. First of all, we'll see it in the women's. We'll decide who the EHL Women's Premier Division winners of 2024 are. Will it be Surbiton, all-conquering, but defeated last season? They had a good tour to Europe recently. Giselle Ansley and the team just warming up in front of me. They went 8 years unbeaten in this event before East Grinstead beat them last season. Or will it be Hampstead Westminster? Second time they've been at the finals weekend. Third last year. Never have their women been champions at this level. They start, Hampstead Westminster, with hero in the shootout yesterday, Great Britain goalkeeper Mim Pritchard, wearing 1. Liv Hamilton yesterday was superb. She wears 5 as a starting 11. Kat Baker, the captain, wears 10. Sarah Robertson, 11. Lily Owsley, 12. Then Philippa Lewis, 16. Maddie Ratcliffe, top scorer in the league this season, 17. Holly Hunt, 24. How well she played yesterday. Esme Burge, 29. Lauren Hunt, 30. Iona Campbell will wear 31 for David Cooper's team. And for the hosts, they will be raucously supported, I have no doubt. Surbiton start with the goalkeeper Amber Walton stepping in, of course, Sabi Hesh having injured her knee quite severely, out of action at the moment. Walton deputises instead. In comes Giselle Ansley in 2 in the starting 11. Meg Douthwaite, number 9. Holly Payne, number 11. Sophie Hamilton, Liv's twin, wears 12. And Louise Stenner, 13. Steph Elliott drops to the bench, the captain. Martha Taylor, who scored yesterday, wears 15. Leah Wilkinson, 17. Izzy Petter, 18. Amy Costello wears 20. Alice Sharp, who scored yesterday, 23. That is your starting 11. David Beckett. David is the coach of Surbiton. So will it be Surbiton back to the champions title, or will it be a first for Hampstead Westminster? You better stay with us to find out, because it is the final of the EHL Women's Premier Division.
So Dave, yesterday semi-final win, fairly comfortable. Did it go to plan?
Yeah, I think I said about a game plan we had set out, and we put that into practice, and I think we probably could have scored a few more if you're a bit honest. But I think semi-finals and sort of knockout games are very much about just getting through them and getting yourself to the next stage, which we did. So eyes on today really now. So park that one and get ready for Hampstead.
So Hampstead Westminster, probably not the team that you expected to be facing today, but what threats do they bring?
Yeah, I mean, if you go through their side, they got some top quality players in there. So I think from our perspective, looking at them, pretty direct side. A few ball carriers in there, which we've got to be aware of. So one-on-one battle is going to be key, and just getting the pressure on the ball, stop it coming in the circle, I think is probably another key point for us today. But yeah, like you say, probably not the side we expected, but still, you look at the league now, top 4, 5, 6 sides in the league, all very strong. So I think it's going to be a tough challenge for us.
And another finals day on home turf here at Surbiton, and how does that help you?
Yeah, we love it. Obviously, for us, it's fantastic. Home support here. Like I said yesterday, I know the facility, everything sort of runs hand in hand for us pretty easily. So we're pleased to be here again, in front of a home crowd, which will be nice, and hopefully we can do the business for the home support.
Thanks, Dave. All the best this afternoon.
Cheers. Thanks, Andy.
Obviously ahead of the final, but just reflecting on yesterday's performance for you, and 2-0 down after the first quarter. What did you say? What did you do as a coach? Are you going to take the credit for the comeback?
I don't think I can take all the credit, but we've definitely, something that we've worked on this season is trying to come back from situations. Earlier in the season, 2-0 down would have meant we lost that game 5 or 6-1. As a group, we've become way more resilient, and actually those situations don't faze us. And I think actually we played our best hockey in the second quarter and allowed us to get a foothold in the game and then get back into it. The goals came, I think, against the run of play, really. I think we were on top, and as has been the case a lot of the season, they get chances and take them, and we haven't taken ours. But yesterday we just didn't panic and knew that we had all the processes in place to make sure we could get our rewards at the other end.
And obviously onto today, a lot at stake, a European place, a national title. How are you feeling?
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a bit nervous, but I'm excited. I think, like you said yesterday, we kind of go into this as the underdogs, and I think it's a cup final, and in the cup final anything can happen. We've played Surbiton enough to know what their strengths are. They've obviously got a few injured players, which is a bit of an opening for us, but we'll do what we do, and then hopefully at the end of the game we get the result we want.
And for Hampstead and Westminster as a club, what would a win today mean for them?
It will be huge. I think for years the focus has been on the men's side of the game, and the investment, a lot of it has come into the men's side of the game. So for the women to get their chance to have their spotlight, I think is huge, absolutely huge. And having been at the club 15 years, I know that the fans love a trip to Europe and they enjoy and get behind it. I think it's just a just reward, I think, for what the effort that's been put in over the last 10 years to get both men's and women's teams to this stage.
Well, thanks for your time. Let's hope that fortune favours the underdog for Hampstead and Westminster, and I hope you enjoy the game this afternoon.
Yeah, I'll try my best.
Welcome back to the action here at Sugden Road, where, of course, we said that there were European hockey places on the line. With the brilliant advent of the Euro Hockey League for women, it means that there's a space for Surbiton or Hampstead Westminster if they win. Surbiton, however, of course, know that the second tier, which they played in this year, because East Grinstead had the top spot from last season, is also a great place to be. And they went out to that competition, the Euro Hockey Club Trophy 1 in Hamburg this year, and actually won that competition. They're guaranteed, or they were guaranteed, in coming in, a spot back in that. However, today, it's all about Andy Halliday, not only becoming champions of England again, potentially for Surbiton, regaining the crown that had cruelly snatched off them by East Grinstead last year, but also, of course, for Hampstead Westminster, an opportunity not only to win this for the first time, but also potentially grab an EHL spot for the first time. The players are just waiting to come out. Andy Halliday, Tess Howard alongside me. Andy, your thoughts on this one ahead of a very, very exciting final?
I feel that you have to go with the hosts. I think home advantage. The way that they played yesterday, you felt that they were comfortable in their performance against, I've already spoken to coaches from Hampstead and Westminster this morning. They are very much the underdogs, and they actually quite enjoy that label. So for me, I think that they may have too much for Hampstead and Westminster this afternoon. But what did we see yesterday from Hampstead and Westminster? Some real character, some real quality, and a never say die attitude.
Hampstead and Westminster in the white and blue, the change strip from yesterday, and Surbiton go from white to black today. Tess Howard alongside me. Tess, you know a lot of these players well. How do you expect this game to break down? Who do you think will get the upper hand in the opening stages of the game?
I think this game will be won and lost in the midfield section. You got battles of Sophie Hamilton and Lily Owsley, I think, will have real clashes. I want to see if Holly Hunt can get on the ball in that drop centre forward. And I think Sarah Robertson will play a massive part for Hampstead today in the attacking circle. So if she can win corners for Hampstead, if she can disrupt the back line, which is so strong for Surbiton, then I think we'll have a good game on our hands. But I agree with Andy. The Surbiton team is really, they had a little patch in the beginning of phase 2 where they weren't really getting the results, but then I think they came together and have produced dominant performances in the last 6 games. So I think I will hand it to them to begin with, but I think it's not going to be an easy game.
Well, in the season to date, the aggregate score is 5-1 between these two. 7th of October 2023 here at Sugden Road. Surbiton 3, Hampstead Westminster 1. Goals from Sophie Hamilton and Hannah French, who just seen minutes ago. She scored a couple. Goal from Maddie Ratcliffe for Hampstead Westminster. And then 10th of Feb, Hampstead Westminster 0, Surbiton 2. That would have been a Paddington wreck. Meg Dothwaite and Leah Wilkinson with a field goal.
Wow.
Don't see that. You don't hear that.
Normally she's the L1 tipping.
Yeah. Well, we're ready to go. Holly Hunt stands over the ball. She was quietly confident before the game, very positive as she always is. Just saw her as she was wandering out towards the pitch. We're ready to go for the first final of 2024, the women's final, to decide who goes into the EHL and who goes into the second division of European hockey next season. And is it Surbiton back for a 9th title after that 8-year run, as I should say, was ended last year? Tess, you very cruelly ended it as part of the East Grinstead team.
At least it made it a bit more exciting in the league.
Okay, this is the point I was actually going to say to you is I think it's great to have more teams winning things. I was never a Man United fan back when Fergie was the manager because it was the monopoly. I found it boring, and it is good for any sport to have more teams competitive.
For sure. I think Surbiton's dominance has been really great in terms of their performances in EHL, and recently their win. I think the stat was we haven't won since 2014 anything in Europe, which is really cool. But I agree. I think there needs to be more competition.
Of course, they went to the EHL not this year, but in 2023. Just have to think through my years then. Take one off. Giselle Ansley, remember, I think she flew, yeah, she did. She flew back after day one for a wedding to be a bridesmaid and made it back for the next game as well. It was very jet set. It was Amstel Vane back to Devon, if I remember rightly. Yes.
I think
just pops out of play.
Going back to yesterday's game, Hampstead and Westminster, the way I think Dan and I both, fair to say, after that first quarter, we'd almost written them off. Two goal deficit, 2 real killer goals from EG, but then showing that character to battle back. And chatting to their coach, David Cooper, ahead of this one, he was saying that they just grew in confidence. You could just see the team grow in confidence throughout that second half.
Wait, tries to pick up the ball.
I agree, and coming back from a 2-0 down is something mentally that once a team has had and done, and they won, then you go into any game, and if you go a goal down, you're suddenly a bit more mentally resilient. And I look at the player Sarah Robertson, number 11 for Hampstead, and she has that attitude where it can fall at any time. We can score at any time. Like she won that corner right at the end with 50 seconds to go. She still believed. Something that she brings to GB for sure.
Here comes Martha Taylor. Moving it on. Hamilton. Dispossessed, and chance for Lauren Hunt to bring the ball away. So Westminster settling well about their work. Esme Burge moving it back. Liv Hamilton. Hamilton's show today. Win against Twin. It's a ball forward for Holly Hunt.
I think Liv Hamilton's distribution is something we'll see come alive today. She is probably one of the most talented back distributors that I've seen as a youngster. Really nice to see her performing well for Hampstead over the last few games.
She goes to stop Mouthwaite and does so very, very easily. Ball finds its way to Sarah Robertson. Felt she'd been fouled, but umpire disagreeing or just not agreeing with her. Stenner. Owsley. Now the whistle goes and it's gone Surbiton's way. One Hampstead Westminster fan just to the right of us by the sound of it.
I think that one of the real benefits of the intimacy of being in a club environment rather than Lee Valley, which we're both used to, is that we are literally surrounded by supporters from both teams, and certainly yesterday got passionate throughout the day. I think fair to say.
Tess, what's your view on this? With as a player, club finals at Lee Valley or at a stadium, or in the club environment where it feels that little bit more intimate, I'd say, a little bit rawer and a little bit more intimate. Which is your preference?
I love the club atmosphere. I think it should stay with the clubs. I do think there should be a little bit more investment into the structures around the pitch, though, so that we could have an increased capacity. Because then I think we could get a lot more, and much better having the finals this weekend where there's no other club activity, whereas last year it was at the same time as a lot of people's last games for the season. And so if we make it an event like it is this weekend, then you see a lot more sports. I mean, it's the two banks are rammed with people, but yeah, I don't know if we could get some more infrastructure, and then sort of make a club, but a club stadium aspect would probably be my preferred.
It's almost potentially investing in one or two clubs that host it to start with for a few years whilst it builds and grows, but the investment is there first. And I do like the bank idea here at Surbiton. I like the fact that it almost creates that, the amphitheatre around the pitch and a bit more stadium-like. I agree with you. I think it's a way forward.
Yeah, you certainly feel like the crowd are on top of you, but I think you add to that what it needs behind the scenes, which a lot of people don't see, is, I turned up here at 8 o'clock this morning. There must have been 15, 20 Surbiton volunteers sorting out the car park, making sure the pitch was watered, clearing up the rubbish, all these sorts of things from yesterday. So these things don't just happen, and
Absolutely.
Much credit to Surbiton for the way that they've organised this. And may I also say to the chefs, I've just had the most delicious curry, which I've eaten in probably 7 minutes between games. Very special. It's a great atmosphere here today.
Yep, the curry in Sagaloo was right up there with my trips to India, if I'm honest. I enjoyed it very much here at Sugden Road. Now, Giselle Ansley just walks forward for Surbiton again. Not a good aerial from her, and it brought Holly Hunt into the equation. Stennett comes across, going to remove the extra ball from the equation.
You mentioned Sarah Robertson, Tess. Well, how do you think Holly Hunt, I know she's had injury issues, but she's really improved, hasn't she, over the last couple of years?
To try to find a way into the circle. Hampstead Westminster deal with it well. Then comes Payne.
Absolutely. I think Holly Hunt really showed what she could do last summer at the Euros in 2023. And I think she had 2 or 3 assists. Really competitive, in for all the balls, and I think has, as we spoke a bit earlier in the last game about how you find your comfort in the international scene, and I think she's definitely found herself, and I think this summer could be very exciting for her. She's really good talent.
Yeah, I love that little analogy you used in the game earlier today about talking about whether you thrive or survive in the international game. And there is a sense, isn't there, that Holly, the way that she's developed her whole game and her reading of the game, and I think I described her yesterday as being a real nuisance for an opposition. Always putting herself in the right place.
She sets the tempo for Hampstead Westminster. She set the tempo yesterday for Hampstead Westminster, and you need that to get dominance within a game, don't you? Stenner trying to...
Yeah, well, she completely changed the momentum for Hampstead yesterday when she intercepted that pass from Grace Borsden, and then one touch, bottom left-hand corner, and she was like, I'm not really sure what was going on, I just hit it. And I just think that's a really great attitude, but it's brought the whole team. You could see that celebration with the team. She's always been about the team, and like a never say die attitude.
It goes to Costello.
But interestingly, Andy, I think she started juniors as a midfielder, so I think her reading of the game comes from that midfielder aspect. A lot of our forwards actually in the GB team have started as midfielders.
You can see that in her work rate as well. That she's not scared of putting the yards in. I know all forwards have to work very hard nowadays, but Surbiton just trying to keep Hampstead Westminster back, pinned in their circle. They can't quite do so. Big Man City fan, isn't she? Holly Hunt, I believe. She travels home. Didn't she travel?
She did.
She went
to
the European
watch the
Cup
treble.
final, didn't she? Yeah. Massive Man City fan.
Really good.
Posting about it on social media.
There. Yeah, I know.
Down the line it goes, drifting out to the right-hand side where it just goes wrong for Hampstead. A rare foray forward for them. Mitchell Greenwood unable to keep it in. Pass into the central midfield was difficult for Sarah Evans.
Those are the midfield battles that I was talking about for the game. Lily Owsley just being able to dominate.
Hamilton. Katie Curtis. Back to Hamilton. He's linked up down that right-hand side really well in the last day. And now the chance for Surbiton. Mim Pritchard is there with the save, and play on, says the umpire. Pritchard is currently lying stricken on the turf. She eventually gets back to her feet and the umpire stops the game for safety's sake. Good save again from Pritchard.
I just wonder there from Alice Sharp, as she went into the circle, she passed. It looked like there was a clear forehand shooting opportunity. She went in there but chose to pass.
Same as before.
Yeah. But,
you could say sometimes I think in our league, yeah, there is a shortage of just backing yourself and shooting.
Yeah.
The restart from Hampstead Westminster, 0-0, 4 minutes 30 left in the first quarter. Steph Elliott trying to help her team gain some control. Martin, that bright orange stick. Very evenly matched at the moment, these two teams, but Surbiton, Sherwood wins the penalty corner. Well, that was a seemingly innocuous turn. The umpires are coming together here to have a conversation.
Any ideas?
Well, I think it was obviously for the tackle, but from here, I mean, it didn't look. I say it wasn't necessarily clean, but it didn't look like it would be enough to give a penalty corner against. But obviously, they're a bit closer than us.
I wonder whether Becca Edwards was just coming across to ask so that exactly what was happening now she had an answer for. Because Robertson and Joey Lee come over and ask the question. She's got to be able to sell the decision and actually explain why it was given if she's asked the question. So that's why she went over to Claire Barwood to say, look, can you just confirm why you gave that so that we're sort of singing off the same hymn sheet, which is good umpiring.
Lily Owsley in #1 running position. Just you watch this.
Ansley on the left-hand side. Here she is. Pritchard saves. Where's the ball gone? It comes back to Dothwaite. Into Pritchard's pads out and stood and West. She's given another penalty corner. Yep,
yeah,
she changed her mind on the decision, didn't she?
No, I think she'd actually just genuinely pointed the wrong way. It was a Hampstead and Westminster foot there, and she'd sort of pointed the wrong way. Yeah, so yeah.
Ansley waiting with Costello. Got told off about that name yesterday. Yes, not Costello.
Oh, really?
Ansley, yeah, apparently. Oh, that was nearly at the umpire. And free out given for height.
So, Tess, on the back of our conversation we had this morning, and if viewers, if you weren't watching this morning, we spoke quite a bit about #1 running and the art of #1 running, and how we were talking also about getting bruises
physical
above
evidence.
the knee, below the knee. But no, I question. So Julian Warburton, who's one of our National League Premier umpire panel, said to me, "Hi Andy, can you ask Tess how many feet she's got away with when running #1? For balance, you understand," he says.
What? So if it was flicked and it was actually going at goal, so therefore it should be another.
Never like a facetious umpire. You sound a little bit snarly there.
Julian is one of the calmest, loveliest people you will ever meet.
Well, obviously, when you're on #1 running, you think you're the fastest person on the pitch, and so you think you're very close. Of course, there are the rules.
It is very difficult, though, if you get hit on the foot and it hurts, to just carry on as if nothing has happened and it's hit your stick.
There's TMO now, so you can't really
not
pretend.
Here, though.
Yeah,
not
here.
Martin, inside to Joey Lee. To Sophia Martin.
So if you and Lily are both on the pitch at the same time, who's the #1 runner? Would it be you or her?
Well, it actually depends on who we're playing, because some of us are better at dropping for slaps.
Right.
And some of us are better at covering. So normally you cover the left post line as a #1 runner. Some of us. So, yeah, it depends.
That's an interesting point. Because I was just, my naivety, I was just sat there and thought, best #1 runner's the best #1 runner.
quick,
it's amazing that
quickest,
quick
protect
doesn't
the feet.
think too much.
A little
And I
bit-
mean that as in not fearless more than doesn't think
Yeah.
too much. That's probably a bit harsh.
Yeah.
Number one
But-
runners.
Fearless,
But-
bordering on stupid.
Well,
Would you say for some
Maybe.
over the years? Not saying you are, Tess.
But I am surprised. That's quite interesting an idea that you actually change it for who. Well, it does make
Well, yeah, it
absolute sense. It
depends,
makes absolute sense when
what
you
threats
say
are
it.
at the top.
Because Izzy Petter runs as well, didn't she?
She's
Where's the?
very good at protecting that left post line. Yeah.
But you don't wear the feet protectors, do you? On top of your shoes, she tends to.
No.
Is that just don't find
Well,
them comfortable?
I find if I don't have the protectors, I'm better at picking it with my stick. No, I'm joking. I really probably should.
I do need to qualify that by stupid. I'm going back quite a few years when there was the word kamikaze that used to come into running, where you would actually literally look to charge down the effort. No stick involved. And then, of course, they changed the rules.
They did after the
After
Korean
that.
player at the Olympics. I think it was 2000. Broke his knee, shattered his knee pretty much, sadly, in an Olympic semi-final, if I remember right. I think I remember watching it. Sadly, shows my age. But it all came in after that because it was such a bad injury at such a high level that they basically stopped you running straight down, as you say, straight down the line and getting anything you could in the way. As Hampstead Westminster just enjoying a good passage of play here. Lee Hunt goes trying to search for the ball as backing off goes Iona Campbell. She's had a good weekend. Southwaite. I'm not a fan of silver numbers on white and light blue. I know I moan occasionally, Andy, about kit colours and contrasting numbers, but that is not a favourite of mine. End of the first quarter. Hampstead Westminster 0, Surbiton 0. Hampstead and Westminster slightly up against it at times. Surbiton have enjoyed a lot of possession so far, but as yet, Min Pritchard showing why she is one of the very best in the country, because she's playing very, very well indeed. Yes, Surbiton would have wanted a goal. Andy, go on. Sorry, you.
I just think interesting to see the way that Hampstead and Westminster once again are pressing high, and that's how they got the fruit of their performance yesterday. Really, from, if you like, being in the faces of East Grinstead, but at the risk of being prone to the counter if they overcommit. What have you seen about the way that they've set their press up here, Tess? I've been quite impressed with it.
Well, it's actually a similar press that EG deployed last year against Surbiton in the final. We knew that their biggest threats were their distribution from Giselle and Amy, and if we could limit their ability to play long to Sophie Hamilton in the pockets, then we would have a bit more success. So trying to limit their threats is probably what they're trying to do. I also really like it because high energy presses bring high energy to the game, and I think if a team is an underdog, the more you press them, the more buzz that you get. And if you can win a little something up in their attacking half, it's a lot easier to break down their defence then. I think probably what Hampstead are thinking is we're probably not going to break them down in a long corner situation because of their top quality marking. They're very well organised. So if we could get something on the counter, just like they did against EG, maybe that's where their opportunity lies.
Is the counter to that the fact that you've got to have your squad rotation, your forwards 4 or 5 minutes at a time, working really, really hard up front? Is it something that at club level you can deploy for the whole game? A high, in-your-face press. I
think Hampstead's forward line is very energetic, but you might see if they go a goal up, they might sit off a little bit. They could. But I think starting the first quarter with a high press also sends a message to Surbiton that they're not going to walk over us today.
Lewis on the ball. Welcome back to the second quarter. Surbiton in the black, 0. Hampstead Westminster in the white and the stripes, 0. As Hamilton restarts. Costello on the line. Beautiful pick by Sharp. And then goes back for more and briefly one possession. Lewis tries to flip it on. Really good crowding. Great to see now that actually on the bank behind Min Pritchard's goal there's essentially 2 or 3 deep, which is lovely to see. Hamilton. Pass to no one.
And from a tactical view, the best place to see the game. Seeing the movement, seeing the press.
Which, jokes aside, is exactly why David Ralph stands there when he's coaching Great Britain and England. He always stands up high behind a goal. I know, because often I have to tell TV directors over talkback where he is, because they can never find him. Do you, Tess, that's an interesting point. Do you prefer having your head coach off the bench, or are you just used to it and there's obviously not really much choice? Oh, Sharp, very good save. Pritchard again. As Sharp sort of edged the volley. Pritchard diving across. Hasn't she had a fabulous weekend so far? Speaking to her yesterday about the Sophie Bray goal, and she just sort of went, really annoying, but nothing you can do. And it shows the level she sets herself that she even thought she could do something. But does it frustrate you having your head coach up? I know you're trying to avoid the question because you think Ralphie might be listening, but if he is...
No, I can see him on the bank.
Is he? Not wearing pastel yellow today.
Maybe.
No, he's got a slight, with same sort of shade, but it's blue.
Got him, yep. GB cap on.
Head coach watch?
No, I think it all depends. He's actually fluctuated between the two. But it just depends on, what's needed in that game. If it's a tactical masterclass that our team need to execute, then him being in the stands to be able to see exactly what we're doing, where the gaps are, and then to deliver messages through, Katie or Jodie is one aspect. But if he thinks he needs to be there with the troops in the trench, then that's what he does. But in terms of, where he was in the stands for our Commonwealth Games final against Australia, and that was a tactical masterclass from him.
Verge. It seemed to go 5 there. That's an interest, and that comes back to your point on number 1 running. Sometimes it's horses for courses. It's you work out who you need. No, but seriously, you work out who you're playing. And the stakes of the game. I'm trying to think where he was. He was in the stands for the bronze medal match in Valencia, wasn't he?
No, he was in the crowd.
So he was in the crowd, yeah.
But in Valencia, that wasn't really a very high place to be.
True, yeah.
Sometimes, quarter time, you need your head coach down there to deliver that message that the team needs.
Well, there are teams around the world, of course, who it's always done. Neville Rothman for Ireland tends to always do the quarter-time talking. Mark Tumulty stays up high in the stands in that way. Sharp plays the ball into the circle. Pritchard just slightly back on her heels. Clears well and accurately.
I think Hampstead will be really pleased with this performance so far.
On the line it goes, looking for Ratcliffe, is it? It is. Coming forward, and now there's the likes of Owsley up ahead. Here's Robertson. Oh, pulled that back cleverly. Lovely finish from Maddie Ratcliffe, and that is the quality of the Australian. That is why she's top of the goal scoring charts, because she can do just that. It was the most ideal scenario because they weren't looking for Ratcliffe, but they found her in the end, and she found the bottom corner for 1-0, and even Tess Howard has her hands over her mouth at the quality of that goal.
Oh, falling backwards. Execution of the shot off the back foot. Beautiful bottom right hand corner. People always talk about reverses and you have to have the ball in the right place at the right time, but really that was just showing that if you get your whole top half to be dissociated from your bottom hand, you can really just whip it. And here they go again.
So 20 minutes the goal was scored on. Comes into Hamilton's possession. And then on to Petter. Petter goes inside. Holly Hunt coming back, may have given away the free hit there, irregardless. Breaking down play really well and making sure she didn't get a card as well.
With a very innocent look at Claire Barwood after she'd done that. Yeah, great jump back from her.
Into the circle goes Surbiton once more. Hamilton flashes it wide of the mark.
Interesting, Tess, you focused on that finish. I would also say Sarah Robertson's run down the right and her ability. I know there was a defender's touch on it, which sort of it was a half save, but the intent and the energy in Sarah Robertson in her attack getting down the right hand side also contributed to that.
Absolutely. I think what's important that Hampstead clearly just did then is they got the breakaway, and Sarah Robertson wanted to put the ball in the D. And people always ask, like, how do you score lots of goals? It's really probability. The more you're in the D, the more chances, half chances you get. And I always think if you're getting in the 25, getting into the circle as much as you can, even if it's half chances in the circle, creates more uncertainty.
Ball in.
Like that.
Pops up, and there you go. Exactly that. Esme Burge found her toe.
It's great that our commentators that are joining us today are just able to predict things, to talk about things, and there you go. Great example of that. And I totally agree with you, Tess. I think, coaching young players up at Framlingham, I think one of the things, there's these individual skills, carrying the ball away from the goal, not going into the circle when you can. I think, being direct, getting the ball in the circle, and here we go. Here's the opportunity.
Skip passes, hits, anything to get it in, because it edges off defenders. And
Lena Crackles did it yesterday. She stepped over a ball where it looked like she'd sort of post up on it and the ball into the circle unexpectedly. Costello and Ansley are there again. Ansley it is, who's just slightly indecisive and breaks down. Payne has to go back and retrieve. Not very good from Surbiton, and back come the rushing Hampstead Westminster players. Holly Hunt just slightly wrong-footed and nearly fell over. And then
sister on sister. Sophie versus Liv.
Yeah.
Liv wins that one for Hampstead.
You've mentioned to me before how good a defender Liv is. And there are seemingly, beyond Paris, some very exciting young defenders in potential England or Great Britain colours to come.
Oh, absolutely. Really dynamic. And she has every skill in the locker. We always talk about at GB, she's probably one of the most gifted. Her and Sophie probably are some of the most gifted, naturally, in terms of what they can do on the ball. And so to have such a confident back line player on the ball is really important. It sets the tone going forwards, or spillage. A bit like, Amy Costello is proving just how skillful she is.
Joey Lee. Space up on the left-hand side. Lauren Hunt looking for the ball, but it's caught out there. Phoebe Willers. Holly Hunt comes away again in possession. Poor pass that time from her. She looked for Melanie Wilkinson. And then across calmly comes Willers. A name we've mentioned a number of times this weekend, Andy. Although referring to Ollie quite a few times as well as Phoebe.
I have, yes. Going onto the field of play with two Ollie Willers shirts on the back of international players, which was rectified, thankfully. But yeah, Ollie now plying his trade with HGC over in the Netherlands.
Wilkinson just caught in.
One thing I have noticed about the difference between, if you like, say an average club player, that's probably unfair, but a club player at Premiership level versus international player is the speed of transition in the game. So when there's a breakdown, when there's a change in possession, when there is a free hit given against, international players immediately are thinking about the next action. They don't dwell, they don't think about things straight away. Holly Hunt, great example. Sarah Robertson, great example. Is that something you learn, you're taught, or is it something you just learn by playing the game at high level? We spoke about that thrive and survive thing.
Plays it forward.
I think we do a lot of transition work, and when we play teams, the Dutch is a prime example. When you play the Dutch, as soon as there's a turnover in their defensive D, they're thinking about the goal they can score.
As we've seen a few times this season from them.
And I think that attitude of when you're in possession you can always score is something that we are trying to develop. And I think I spoke earlier at the first game around our flow and the kind of hockey we want to play. And I think when you watch the international players in the club level, you can see what they're trying to do in terms of the fluidity of the game and keeping it really dynamic, which is what David Ralph is trying to do with us. But in terms of the transition, I completely agree with you. But also the opportunity. mindset, I think, is what we're trying to get in our team, so that we turn over and we want to try and get as many opportunities, outcomes from a turnover in their attacking half as we can, because we know that's where, against the top teams, likely that's where your best opportunities are going to come from.
Interesting news last week, of course, with the Dutch, that they can afford to drop Ava Drummond and Margot van Heffen over, they're both over 700 caps. They were matching each other as second most capped Dutch female player. And they can be dropped before Paris because they've got that much strength and depth.
Yeah, I think it's a fairly bold move, that, from Paul Van As, and one that I think, certainly looking at the media reaction to it, there's been a lot, let's say, interesting feedback around that decision. I mean, for me, the proof will be in how they perform come August. But
Willers. We moved on by Esme Burge. And Ratcliffe and Robertson working alongside each other. That's a very good tackle from Iona Campbell to keep it clean, otherwise she really was in trouble there. Costello. Cramped in the corner.
So, Tess, I'm going to ask you another big question, but it's based on the conversation that we've just had, because I'm intrigued. How do you teach young players, young athletes at school age who are learning hockey? How do you teach them transition? Is it something they can learn?
Well, you answer, you need to charge him for this, because he's taking up to Framling.
Here we go. Oh, no.
Yes, it comes. Stenners, penalty corner. Yeah, before you answer that question, Tess, he will be utilising this at his college.
You've got some
team,
thinking
so
time now, Tess.
Thinking time, because Hampstead Westminster have another penalty corner. Stenner has to walk back to halfway.
I have got my answer, but I'll
We'll wait till after the corner.
I'll leave you in suspense.
It's probably more important that we get a grip on reality again.
So Ratcliffe just walks herself away from the huddle briefly and goes through the motions, visualisation and all that. Alongside her also Liv Hamilton. Ratcliffe. That's a brilliant pick by Wilkinson. Lewis. Just doesn't quite get it right. It remains 1-0 to Hampstead Westminster.
Great adjustment there from Leah Wilkinson. The way that she was able to take that, just adjust her feet and her stick, and a vital save.
So, I have my answer. Got two parts to it. First, Dan's laughing. True academic here. First, I would talk about the mentality, the character of always being able to score with the ball. I think it's something, I think defenders don't realise that they're a big part of the game in terms of scoring. And I think you talk to youngsters and they're like, oh, I'm a forward, I score goals. And a midfielder's like, oh, I pass. And the defender's like, oh, I tackle. But actually, every single cog is important in a transition. And yesterday in the men's final game, we saw Sandford score, and he was running through back post tap-in for OGs, and he's their centre-back. And the mentality of anyone can score at any time, I think, is something everyone's involved in the fluid attack. So that's the first one. And the second one was what we're doing now in GB is everything is on the move. Every receive is fluid. So you don't teach kids how to trap and peel. You teach them how to flow with the ball. You teach them how to receive on the reverse, how to receive on the forehand, so that everything is on the move. Because then that is essentially what a counter-attack is.
Andy and I are just currently scribbling down notes to take back to our coaching sessions. I think that's a brilliant answer.
I think it is.
I love that it had two parts to it. I really like that.
Tune in for more at my blog or whatever.
I love the phrase flow. Teaching kids to flow with the ball, not to trap and trap and spin, was it? Or trap and
peel.
As Robertson burst through, and that is such a Dutch mentality that Tess just spoke about there. Now, who's in trouble here? Someone, it's green card shown. Robertson still arguing. She gets 2 minutes sit down. And the they've been given permission today to play music when cards are shown, and sit down was the choice that time.
Yeah.
Which is not going to help calm a situation. I like it though. Saying about players picking up a ball, and we spoke about flow a second ago, but this is going back a few conversations, knowing exactly what they're doing. Sophia Martin is one of those players. She's very quick-handed, and often that first movement is absolutely immediate. She's made the pre-scan. She knows which way she's going.
Yeah, but I mean, pre-scanned, I think it's a phrase that's, for me, is overused as a coach. I think it's all about game awareness and literally just knowing exactly where the next ball is going to go, the next pass is going to go, ahead of the game. So being 2-3 steps ahead of what's going to happen. And I think it goes hand in hand with what you said, Tess, about that. It's lovely, the mentality, because for kids it's about scoring goals. That brings the excitement to the game. And I'm a defender. I don't score goals. I stand in my own 22 and I stop them scoring. But actually, and that mentality I think is really, really important.
Yeah, I'd like there to be a lot more sort of hockey 5-a-side or 7-a-side. Almost. So that kids get to know how to... Oh, we're getting a card.
Card's going to be shown right on the hooter here. A green card.
Can't quite see. Was it Lily Owsley that got that?
Or was it?
Was it Holly Hunt? Couldn't see, but...
We'll get confirmation of that. There has been... Sarah Robertson's card has just flashed up, but the other card hasn't. So at the end of the second quarter, at half-time, a bit of a surprise potentially in the making here. Hampstead and Westminster 1, Surbiton 0. There will be some mutterings over the coffees at half-time from the Surbiton fans. They're behind as it stands. Hampstead and Westminster could be about to make England Hockey League history. We'll be back with plenty more after this. Welcome back to Sugden Road. We're here at Surbiton Hockey. It is half-time in the women's final of the England Hockey League Premier Division finals, and a bit of a surprise score. Sorry, I've just been shown a very good social media post which has made me chuckle in the background. Thank you, Tess Howard, for that one.
It's Dan with his binoculars.
I'm very proud, my 40th birthday present. Very, very good quality binoculars, and well, it's been under the microscope, this one, because Hampstead Westminster find themselves in a lead against 8-time champion Surbiton.
Love it.
Well, they don't love it in Surbiton.
Sorry.
In the home club.
Sorry.
Can't shout that too loud,
Yeah.
Tess. But as you said at the start, it's great to have a competitive Premier Division. You come from the team that snatched away Surbiton's championships last year.
Precedent setting.
And now
We showed people it was possible.
and now Hampstead Westminster
Now we open the gate for others.
have very much taken that under their wing and picked it up and run with it, which is good for the sport. Maddie Ratcliffe, let's talk the goals, Tess, because you love talking about goals. Maddie Ratcliffe, sensational finish from her.
Yeah, textbook description of a goal. Textbook, oh sorry, I didn't say my description. Textbook, I don't know, example that's
Example
what
of a
I'm
goal,
looking
yep.
for. Example of a reverse stick goal. But this game is certainly not over, because Surbiton will come out at it.
Hampstead Westminster are currently down to 9 players as well, because Holly Hunt and Sarah Robertson are not really setting an example. They're both sat on the sin bin spot. Not allowed to call it sin bin anymore, I know, but thumbs up from Tess Howard to someone on the pitch. Is it Lily Owsley?
Just thumbs upping Holly.
It was a Holly, was it?
On the bench.
Oh, it's Holly. Yeah, she sat there with her hand on her chin, looking very disgruntled at the moment. It's Holly Hunt.
I'm hoping Surbiton are going to unleash some crazy tactic to make sure that they use this 2-player overload.
Well, I think they've got about 34 seconds down to 10, and a minute and 34 seconds down to 9, and a minute and 34 seconds down to 10.
Melanie Wilkinson is currently stood alongside her, but she's not sent off the pitch at the moment as Wilkinson plays the ball down the line. Martha Taylor got that all wrong and managed to win a free hit. Well, that's a clear demonstration of anti-skill there from Martha. She completely missed the ball and won the free hit.
I think Martha Taylor is one of those talents that is, she's 21 and having huge impact in our GB training squad for sure.
Made her debut, if I remember, out in Argentina, wasn't it? In that Pro League tour of a couple of years ago.
Yeah, she's a great player.
Tess, what's the philosophy around, so if you green card, is it all about just creating one scoring opportunity within that 2 minutes? And would you have set plays? Is it part of the scenario planning for international level?
Absolutely. And a player difference at international level is huge. And we always talk about pressing a bit more aggressively, not necessarily changing too much we do on the ball, but you can take more risk, But then again, sometimes you go, it might be a yellow card and then you work it a bit more. But I think for a green card, it's just a case of having a little bit more license to try and find the extra player and have a go, just like Surbiton are trying to do here.
Wilkinson plays it to Taylor, just pops up off the stick, and Surbiton ball again. Good early pressure here in the third quarter. 13 minutes and change left in this third quarter, and Surbiton looking for that early response to get back on level terms. Lovely pick and away goes Owsley. Poor pass towards Ratcliffe. Costello.
And if you're down a player defensively in this situation, is it just a case of you sit deep and you hold out for 2 minutes, or?
Yeah, narrow up, sit deep.
Narrow up, yeah.
Definitely narrow up. You want to clog up the middle.
To full 11 now.
You want to try and keep a spare player?
Tipetta has the ball ripped away from her by former England teammate Esme Burge. That wasn't the cleanest tackle by Martha Taylor, but just told to calm down.
Critical tackle that from Esme Burge on there. Just the timing of it had to be spot on, the timing of that. Otherwise, penalty corner or a shooting opportunity.
Midfield battle just breaking down at times as Greenway brings the ball away. A game that's really come to life so far. Lots of opportunities through the midfield though, as Alice Sharp, who's probably had the best of the opportunities, and from Surbiton's point of view, clever ball into the circle, and Petter just tried to dink the ball up cleverly, but dropped it onto the arm of the Hampstead Westminster player, which is dangerous. It's deemed dangerous.
Could have gone either way, I'm sure.
Goes wrong for Kat Baker. Taylor, who seems to have monopolised the possession in this third quarter so far, gets it back again now. Here where Surbiton are focusing their attentions down the Hampstead Westminster right-hand side. Crucial tackle again. Lauren Hunt this time tries to find her sister. And Holly breaks away. Holly Payne trying to tackle her. She wins the ball back.
Both sides thinking they should have got fouls there.
Alice Sharp wins a penalty corner. Kat Baker's left heel just planted in front, and Surbiton get the penalty corner.
I think Holly Hunt will be a little disappointed. I think she thought she was going to get the free there, and I feel she has a case, but
I would agree.
Just switching off for a moment.
Although good pressure from Surbiton. Martha Taylor unlucky not to get anything like a clean strike off that lovely little infield break.
Sloan Ansley stand there again. The stature of player, those two. Both very tall. Powerful flickers. Richard in goal for Hampstead Westminster. Delivered out to the top. It goes to Holly Payne, and then Wilkinson up onto
Interesting.
I'm trying to work out.
I think that was on purpose.
Was that a routine, a rehearsed
routine? It looked
routine?
very good.
Yeah.
So if an Surbiton fan next to us is nodding profusely.
Just saying it was
yes.
no. He said it was slow, I think was the comment, but
oh. And it comes again. This time it is Ansley. Good running and celebrated by number 20 Melanie Wilkinson.
I think Hampstead have brought their entire club down.
yeah, there's a big group, isn't there? They're fairly easily recognisable because they're attached to folk who are wearing those Hampstead blazers, which look like pyjamas. I know they look a little bit like the first team shirts with the stripes, but
into Martin. It looks like something from a trading floor of old, doesn't it?
yes.
Seen a few of those from Surbiton as well this weekend. But, going back to that conversation, that it all adds to part of it. That would slightly get lost at Lee Valley, I think. So having that little nuance within the club final setup, I think is a really nice touch. Joey Lee coming forward again. Leaves it back to Baker. If Hamilton almost kicked the ball in.
Clean distribution.
And Hunt. Ball pass from her to Wilkinson. She was searching for Robertson.
A moment to say Sarah Robertson makes history today as the first woman to wear shorts in a final, England hockey final.
Love that, Tess.
Wished it could have been me. I'm super happy that Robert is doing it. Carrying the movement.
And away comes Lewis, former Durham player, I believe. At Yukon as well for a time, I think.
That is what we call a downtown hit from Sarah Robertson, just to relieve pressure.
As you might say, Tess, it's an important moment as all the hard work you've put in comes to fruition.
Do you find, Tess, with this, that a lot of women have said, yeah, I want to wear shorts? Are there also folk that said, no, I'm always going to wear a skirt, or I'm always going to wear a skirt for this? Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah.
But it's the choice that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the point isn't that skirts are a bad thing. Surely it's not that skirts are a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's just that you can choose what you want to wear. You can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would come Surbiton again. Hamilton offloads really nicely. They have the chance. She has the chance, and again, Pritchard dives down, and again, Hampstead Westminster standing strong for the lead.
It's good to see Sophie Hamilton getting on the ball a bit more now.
Steph Elliott. Robertson. Well, that's well worked. Well won by Alice Sharp. Now a chance for Holly Hunt, but she just ends up running through Katie Curtis. Lewis picks the ball, and Hamilton again on the ball, into the circle. Pritchard pops it up. Dangerously onto her own player, Liv Hamilton it was. Penalty corner. Really one of the first mistakes I've seen Min Pritchard make this weekend.
Yeah, ball popping up there, but you feel that the host team here are just working up a bit of a head of steam as we are just over halfway through this third quarter.
You could hear Giselle Ansley on the pitch just before that saying, "Keep coming, girls, it will come, and we're playing good hockey."
In all all Surbiton since the start of the third quarter. Ansley dummies. Wilkinson, what a lovely finish. Nothing Pritchard could do about the equaliser. It was a fabulous dummy, a fabulous move from Surbiton. And Leah Wilkinson, who scored against Hampstead Westminster from a field goal earlier in the season, scores from the penalty corner to make it one apiece.
And you were saying earlier, Dan, that Leah Wilkinson goals are a rarity. Well, like a London bus.
So field goals are a rarity.
Field goals. Field goals.
Before I get in trouble.
Like
All right. Anyway, well, what a well-executed routine. Really slick. We saw the breakdown, the routine in the first half, and then shades of that with their last corner, but then that was brilliantly executed, and deservedly Surbiton back in the game.
Willers and Sherwood. Only Sherwood needs to get the ball back. That's well won by Lauren Hunt. The wind's got up at Sugden Road and temperature just dropping slightly. I'm sure the players will be pleased for the breeze.
I think we've seen quite a drop in temperature compared to, I think we were
Yeah.
about 21 yesterday, and it's 13 or 14 today.
Costello.
I'm told 15 degrees today.
Hamilton stopped by Robertson. And it's played by Evans. Curtis.
Also fellow Cambridge City player. Big up.
And James Albury, Cambridge City.
Correct. Ewan Gilmore this morning scoring the shuffles. Sorry, shootouts for Wimbledon.
Thank you for embracing the change there, Tess.
I embrace change, if nothing else.
Change maker of the year, wasn't it? For Telegraph change or the Times change maker of the year?
Yeah, the Times.
Out comes Willers and
Really
does
good.
well. And then Owsley trying to fight her way through Costello.
Did well there, Lily Owsley. There was a little nudge, wasn't there? A little professional little nudge in there just as she put that tackle in the circle, which, yeah, we'll put that one down to experience, I feel.
Lovely turn as well there.
She's got 4 players around her. She still wants it in there.
Did she just bow?
She got hit in the side.
We were laughing yesterday when Lily, we thought she had scored and of course won that penalty stroke, and the celebration is always that little jump up, well not really little jump up and down, but jumping up and down, and she did exactly that when she won the penalty stroke. We thought the ball had gone in. She celebrated so much.
Excellent teammate to have.
Bubbly?
Extremely bubbly off the pitch, but extremely feisty on.
Now wrong with that. I did the
Absolutely.
post-match interview actually with her yesterday, and I don't think I've interviewed anybody who managed to get so many words in such a short interview. She was effervescent is probably the right way of describing her reaction.
All down the right-hand side. Curtis does well again. This important factor going back to the profile building is being able to be interviewed well. Ratcliffe, a little piece of skill from the Aussie. To play it drifts. Really feel the international players that have been on show this weekend have offered so much to improve these finals as well, make them even better than they've been, which is a lovely aspect of the whole competition. It goes from Burge to Campbell, and then on to Liv Hamilton. Ball pace from her to the right-hand side.
I like that Hampstead have come back with, fighting. I think when EG equalised when Hampstead scored, the body language was low, but I think here Surbiton have scored, Hampstead are still keeping it up.
It's almost as if it was a little bit strange protecting a lead against an underdog going ahead and protecting a lead, as opposed to yesterday where they were always chasing the game. But the mentality they showed yesterday is, they're showing it again now. Despite that probably last 7 minutes, 10 minutes of real growing Surbiton pressure, they're able to get themselves back into the game and get a foothold, get some possession.
Hamilton, not the best ball. Well dealt with though, under pressure from Josephina Hipper. Fantastic. Set herself back as Surbiton get the ball back. Sophie Hamilton then handed to by Hunt, who gave away the free hit.
I always love the battles between the GB players because they're always very, very hard. They're just Holly Hunt and Sophie Hamilton.
Is there much banter at training at Bisham after a difficult match against
for
Wellington
sure.
all the time?
For sure.
Remember when I dribbled round you and then put it in the top corner, that sort of stuff?
I think sometimes it's a bit sore. you don't talk about it.
Alice Sharp does well there and battles there and ends up on the ground herself. Across goes Iona Campbell to say she pushed me, but the umpire doesn't agree. And Surbiton again have a penalty corner. They've come back to one apiece. Can they make it 2-1? Don't forget that goal on 39 minutes from Leah Wilkinson. Really well taken.
And Alice Sharp again, real thorn in that Hampstead and Westminster back line, finding space.
Sharp to inject. Costello and Ansley again remain on the pitch. Evans and Hamilton waiting to stick stop. Will be Giselle Ansley. Flatters into Hamilton. Costello's there. Tries to V-drag. Gets the shot away. It was useful. And Pritchard, I think, feels it was dangerous. But Hampstead and Westminster get the free out anyway.
Change of routine there. Giselle Ansley with the drag, but then Leah Wilkinson going in for that sliding deflection, reverse stick deflection from the left castle.
I'm really thrilled we've got a proper game on our hands here for the final.
Will we go for a shootout again to decide a Euro Hockey League spot again? Of course, both teams guaranteed European hockey next year, but one of them will be in the top tier, the AHL, and one will be playing in the trophy below. As Surbiton won it this year out in Hamburg. Costello under pressure. Had a good game. Ratcliffe has to back away.
National champions or a place in Europe. Where would you rank those? Would you put one ahead of the other?
In terms of winning the league?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you want the trip to to Europe. More than anything, it's a great opportunity to bring your club to Europe, and I think for EG this year that was probably the most important part of it. We wanted to make an impression when we went to EHL that EG was a team that could be talked about in European hockey, and I think definitely that win against Gantois and the battle that we did against Amsterdam, I think, shocked everyone. You know, the commentators were talking and they were like, this is going to be a walkover for Amsterdam, and then ended up being a much closer game. And also just pushing England, just generally English hockey, further into, you know, respect. And I think that for the players, like for those GB players who went out to both of those tournaments, to have that confidence playing against those European teams, then you come back to an Olympics or something, and you've played against those players, you've beaten them in a club competition, and suddenly they're not so you know, scary. And I think sometimes a lot of the sort of bravado around a team, whether that's Dutch or Belgium or Germany, can add to the lack of confidence that we have against them. But that sort of club element can really help us.
Do you feel, though, that maybe East Grinstead, there was a bit of fallout which we saw yesterday? I say fallout, probably a reaction that we saw yesterday from, you know, very much the Lord Mayor's show, the EHL, playing against a team who were, Hampstead Westminster, very much the underdogs yesterday. Do you think that might have been a little bit of a hangover from Europe, their performance yesterday?
I think so. I think EG went into the EHL as underdogs, and you always play up against better teams. I think we always play up against Surbiton as well, against Wimbledon, but in the league we beat Hampstead very comfortably 5-1. But in a big game like this, maybe they expected, it's a different pressure being the ones who should win. Yeah. And I think that might have just got the better of them yesterday.
Well, the indoor East Grinstead had a bit of a different aura about them. They felt like almost a juggernaut. They came there looking like a team that expected to play well, but then played in that way that they backed that up. And that,
but also a very young team.
A very young, hugely young team. What a quality young team as well.
I think out of the 4 teams in those indoor finals, they were the best prepared. Surbiton, with all due respect, turned up playing very much an outdoor game indoors. I felt that East Grinstead were, their structure, they got everything right that day.
Welcome back to the 4th quarter, where it is Hampstead Westminster in the white and blue against the black of the home team, Surbiton. It's 1 apiece. The winners take Premiership glory. Surbiton for the umpteenth time, and ouch, Hampstead Westminster for the first time. As Sophie Hamilton just got clattered. I'm not sure she was overly happy with that. So Westminster player ran into her and then smashed a stick on the ground. And Hamilton finds Taylor. No, she doesn't. It's moved on to Sherwood. Good effort to get the shot away, but it was well blocked by Liv Hamilton. Down the line to Robertson. Just nutmeg on Wilkinson. Sarah Robertson gets it all wrong on the hit, but that, giving us dangerous. Well, it was
just a miss hit.
It was a miss hit that bobbled up in the air.
Yeah.
That surprises me. It's all umpire's perspective, though. It's not our perspective. We had a very different angle on it as well, because we were behind it, and the umpire was well and truly in front of the player nearer to it, which is fair. Robertson has the ball again. Owsley in field finds Esme Burge. Very late, important player in this Hampstead Westminster team. We were talking yesterday, Tess, on commentary about Joey Lee and where her career's gone since her Great Britain exploits. Now in rising star in the sports sustainability industry, and in fact ran that at the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham in 2022 while she was winning a Commonwealth Games gold medal. She was running the show in terms of the sustainability of the whole event.
Yeah, I've spoken to him many times about sustainability in hockey, and it's really important that we move our game to be as sustainable as possible. Also, another place that hockey can lead the way, because we're not necessarily big consumers of, like the stadiums that we have. We don't have that many events. So if we can get those right, then I think that'd be really great to lead the way.
Oh, now that's popped up really, really nicely, and immediately Iona Campbell goes to check, and there's some concern here, and we hope that it's down on the pitch for Surbiton. Trying to see who it is at this point in time. It's Izzy Petter. Is okay. Clear concern from all around. Just a ball deflecting up into the face of Petter. And Pritchard goes over to check that her GB in England teammate is okay, and a pat on the back for her. The immediate attention paid by the Surbiton physio, and Petter is up and walking it off. Obviously walking off. Oh, she's getting hit just underneath. Just underneath or just above the eye? I'm just trying to see now. Oh, still the same. Yeah, just underneath the eye, Tess. Those ones
really
are
hope
horrible where it
she's
just
okay.
clips up and nothing you can do to get out of the way.
Yeah, both player and defender going for the ball. Defender just jabs it and it goes straight into your eye. That's unfortunate. I hope she's all right.
I can't believe Izzy Petter's still only 23. Yeah,
I think she's a June birthday, is she?
she is a June birthday. Do you
So
know which date in June? Just to check whether you know all
18th?
your 27th.
Oh.
Close. Not far off. She'll
Factor
be
of
really
9.
surprised this year when you buy her a card, won't she? Because she'll remember it, because we spoke about it. It's Dunsford, near Guildford.
She's a trooper. She actually got hit in the thumb in the World Cup. Had a slightly broken thumb and played the whole tournament. Trooper.
Ansley and Costello are there. Ansley, dummies again. Wilkinson, oh, a deflection over the outstretched boot of Pritchard that was covering it, and poor Liv Hamilton. She just stuck her stick out and it looped it over Pritchard. And it's 2-1 and it's Wilkinson's goal. That for Surbiton. So frustrating, Tess, because it looked like, obviously you can't tell completely, but it looked like me and Pritchard had it covered.
Yeah, not sure what happened. But interesting that Surbiton went for that option again. You know, you got their two big guns, and Amy Costello and Giselle Ansley at the top, and it worked that they scored from Leah that first time, so might as well try it again.
Interesting, he's saying about Izzy Petter playing part of the World Cup with a broken thumb. I know Sam Ward played most of the Tokyo Olympics, if not all, with a broken hand, which he had to have operated on afterwards. Talking about troopers, it's amazing where international sports people can go when they have to. In terms of, you know, the depths of what they're willing to put themselves through. Of course, it goes flashes in front of Hunt.
We all have an extra tank of adrenaline inside of us, just in case.
I remember a very good friend of mine who's a top-level wheelchair basketball player, played a whole final of a game, World Cup final, having received a spoke into his arm mid-game and carried on. He said the adrenaline was running, I barely felt a thing. It was just after the game and the next day it was absolute agony. And I think that's part of the point, isn't it, Tess? You got the adrenaline pumping through you. Half the time you don't realise actually how much it's going to hurt your body.
The best medicine is adrenaline. Nothing codeine can do like adrenaline.
As Martin loses possession, and some Westminster need possession. They need a goal here because they're 2-1 down. The goals from Wilkinson. In fact, the second goal has been given to Alice Sharp. Must have been a Sharp deflection. In front, we believe. Goal given to Ian Sloan earlier, which definitely wasn't his goal. It was Sam Hooper's. Assume that Sharp got a touch. Try and ask her next time she comes nearby, Tess.
Oh, well, I thought it was Sophie Hamilton's goal. So just at least it was a Surbiton goal. We know that.
Evans sees it's a long corner to Hampstead Westminster. Joey Lee waits over the top of it.
Don't forget, Hampstead have been here before yesterday.
Yeah, fighting back against East Grinstead and then taking that one on the shootout. Ratcliffe scoring the league. You were up there, Tess, this season, 13 goals.
Thanks, I didn't play the last 6 games.
Overtaken by your teammate Sophie Bray yesterday.
Was I?
Scored her
Oh,
14th.
love that. Nice.
As a natural goal scorer, I thought you would have known that fact. There are people around the circuit who they know exactly how many they've scored, whether they're top, whether they're second.
Well, last season the England Hockey did this thing of like it was the top 3 or 4 every week were posted on the Instagram, and me and Sophie Hamilton were rivaling each other to the end, and then she scored in our last league game. But then they didn't count the finals weekend, so she won that one.
Halfway into the circle. And Petter's back with her eye patched up. Rather heavy plaster on the right eye. Douthwaite just falls in amongst it all, and then away comes Baker with possession.
It was Sophie Hamilton who scored the goal.
Was in front of her twin sister Liv.
Thank you, I thought so.
It was on the post. I thought it came off Liv Hamilton, but as you say, Sophie Hamilton gets the goal. There we go. We'll just clarify that we don't have replays in the commentary booth here, so it's very hard.
The only reason why I knew that, Dan, is because Sophie celebrated in such a way that is a Sophie celebration if she scores.
Ah.
So I should have made that. I
Inside-
should have backed
insider
myself
knowledge.
more. I should have backed myself more, but she has a little two-fist pump
Even more so
situation.
scoring right in front of her twin sister. As Steph Elliott just plays the ball back to Sharp. Elliott wants the ball back on the left-hand side, but Robertson does well to dispossess Sharp and dump her onto the turf. Everyone's got their little celebrations, don't they? It's not quite such an exaggerated celebration as maybe in a sport like football, but everyone does have their way.
What was yours, Dan, when you scored a goal?
Run straight back to halfway and pretend I don't want to celebrate. It was always pretend. I was absolutely shouting and screaming inside. As the ball
Silky
through
skills.
Martha Taylor. A bit sort of deliberately serious, as it were. And then missing. And a play it goes. Steph Elliott just showing some frustration. Willers will restart, and time now down to 7 minutes 25. With the hand of Wilkinson. Goes her way. Ratcliffe doesn't agree.
It's a great pass that from Leah Wilkinson.
Taylor
finding that seam.
to Sherwood.
I imagine Hampstead will take their goalie off like they did yesterday. They scored their second goal from really high press.
At what stage do you think is the best time to do that? We've got 7 minutes, just under 7 minutes on the clock.
Yeah,
Is
I do
now
it
a good
now.
time?
I do it now because I think if you get to 4 minutes, then that's not a lot of time. Plus, you can always put the goalie back on if you equalise.
Hamilton, again, lovely from her, offering one way, going the other, then the injection of pace, and Surbiton with Katie Curtis into the circle, and they get the penalty corner. 6:19 left in the game. Surbiton trying to take advantage yet again from the top of the circle.
Great work down the right. That's proper, incisive attacking play from Surbiton. Certainly, they've got the upper hand at the moment. And what has been an effective corner routine here in the second half. Hampstead Westminster certainly under the pump at the moment.
They won't be able to use... Sorry, Wilkinson is on. I didn't think she was. They do use Wilkinson. Oh, off the line. Well, Leah Wilkinson is on absolute fire from that option today. The left slip is working better than any drag flick
It's
ever
a triple
could.
bluff.
Yeah.
They've obviously done their homework here. around that. But what a save also. I think, was it Sarah
On the,
Robertson? No, it wasn't.
Radcliffe
it was,
on the line.
Yeah, sorry, Ratcliffe. And she probably would have seen that really late behind the keeper.
Better tackle from Hamilton. Sorry, from Owsley, excuse me. Evans' patience. Surbiton don't need to rush this. They have the advantage. Another win in the English Hockey League. Very much on the cards for Surbiton. Of course, winning in the second tier in Europe this season gave them that taste for the EHL, and they might be able to secure that here as Taylor jumps through. Now forward goes Manley Wilkinson, and away with the ball comes Leah Wilkinson, who's then nearly stolen off her by Holly Hunt. Right, you two, you're not doing a player of the match officially, I believe, but who would be your player of the match today if you were forced to ask? It's about the sort of time we normally select that in an international game, so who would you give it to if you were forced to?
For me, Leah Wilkinson, it's not just about the penalty corner routines in the second half, but I think that last play in that last minute has been indicative of the way that she's, if you like, steadied the ship from left half. And so I think her versus Alice Sharp would be my, so one or t'other of those two, because Alice Sharp I think has been really hot in Hampstead circle. So it'd be one of those two.
I think Miriam Pritchard's had a great game. I think she couldn't do really anything about those 2 goals, but in terms of creating the first half.
And then Pritchard has been taken off, and Surbiton immediately through Izzy Petter win a penalty corner.
It's tricky when you take your keeper off when they have possession. I wonder if they could have just had a moment to get the ball back and then take it off.
So Hampstead Westminster have to defend the penalty corner without Min Pritchard in goal. A good weekend from her, as Tess just said. Very good day from her again, as Tess just said.
There was a very definite signal came there from David Beckett striding down the sideline.
Give it to Wilkinson again. Oh. Wilkinson again.
Could well be.
Straight Costello hit.
Here's Costello. And that's beautifully taken off the line by Liv Hamilton, clipping it down the leg side.
She is a cricketer. She did play cricket and hockey until she had to choose one. Maybe she should go back to cricket with that. That's amazing.
I was racing away to the boundary for 4 from Liv there. Her sister didn't get in front of her this time to deflect it. Oh, now Hamilton clashes with Hamilton. Sorry, I realised it was Liv and then looked who the other player was and realised it was twin to twin.
There's a real good friendship between the
Who
two.
do the parents support to this? Are they doing one supports Hampstead, one supports Surbiton today? What's the? I mean, I'm a dad of twins, and the only bonus I've got if they ever get to this level is one's a boy and one's a girl for me. Unless they play a mixed championship against each other ever.
Having seen the Blazers, I would hate to see a Surbiton, Hampstead and Westminster mixed Blazer and what that would look like.
I'm not sure you could look at that directly,
No.
could you?
Well, still 3 minutes, which means it's 2 minutes to go before Hampstead like to score their equaliser.
And here nearly went to Ratcliffe, but not quite. The pressure is now put on. Don't forget, no Min Pritchard. Hampstead Westminster have 11 players out on pitch, where Surbiton have 10. Surbiton still have a goal for them. Amber Walton, who has barely had to do anything since half-time. Alice Sharp, as you said, excellent so far. Moves the ball on to Holly Payne. Sophie Hamilton. Oh, lovely. And now the chance! And there we go. A fabulous, fabulous finish. She rushes to Alice Sharp to celebrate. And Sophie Hamilton makes it 3-1. Surbiton can celebrate. Looks like after a year where they had it ripped off them by East Grinstead, they're going to reclaim the Premier Division title.
And there is the... Sorry, Tess, go on.
No, I think that was all made from Izzy Petter's step against Lily Owsley there. So Liv tried to play it into Owsley, and then Petter created that counter-attack. Then the few layoffs to Sophie. Really great skill from her.
And in a way, the peril of, or the risk of playing without the keeper.
You know, I think Sophie Hamilton's one of those players who never actually had to survive in the international game. She just started thriving from the start.
Yeah.
She always looked so calm and composed, and it's really great to see.
Sophie Hamilton again on the ball. You know what I'm finding really confusing this weekend today is having Hamilton and Owsley both wearing 12. Because I always think they look like, I know they're playing on different teams, but because they always wear different numbers for Great Britain, not 12 for Great Britain, and they play so similarly, you sort of very much have to memorise which number's which, because they look quite similar in the style they play and the stature as well. It's like literally having a carbon copy.
Yeah, we had a joke at a while that you had to be blonde to be in the midfield. GP.
Yes. Yeah, Wilkinson restarts. Surbiton just need to run down the next 49 seconds. Martha Taylor has given us dangerous. Lauren Hunt races away in another cricket shot in defence from Wilkinson. Reverse sweep. It's a really lovely tackle. Robertson, is it?
She's hungry for it.
Ansley absolutely puts a bat through it to Petter.
Lovely take.
Who finds Holly Payne. Players ahead of her. Pritchard's back in and saves brilliantly, but it was a back stick from Douthwaite.
Great lead through from Douthwaite. Ahead of that, created the space for Payne to play that ball behind her. Really good lead ahead of the ball.
And again, Surbiton become the national champions of England. In the AHL Women's Premier Division, it is Surbiton that are champions once more after they failed at the final hurdle last year against East Grinstead. For Hampstead and Westminster, it's not to be at their first attempt in the finals, but blimey, did they do themselves proud. Test taking a lead, 1-0 up through that lovely goal of Maddie Ratcliffe, but then back came Surbiton, as we know they can, and it's them that huddle up and celebrate. Nothing more really than they deserve, but in the main, for the quality of their second half performance.
Yeah, I think they've shown why they're Club Euro champions at the moment. Really solid second half performance. I thought they were very not themselves in the first half, but you can see they only need a real strong second half to win the game. And credit to Hampstead, really great first half performance, but sort of fell away perhaps. I think we saw the GB players alongside Leah Williamson just stepping up for the Surbiton team in that second half, and Sophie Hamilton putting the icing on the cake for them.
Andy, very much deserved in your view?
Yes, in my view. Hampstead and Westminster did very, very good first half for them going ahead. But for me, it was about Surbiton not panicking. There was nothing that would suggest that they were wobbling at any stage. And you sort of knew, attacking home crowd, support behind them, second half, they would get the chances. In the end, for me, it came down to penalty corners. That was the difference.
Wilkinson did oh so well from there. Well, KHC Dragons, the Belgian club, know how difficult it is to face Surbiton in a final this season. They went down by an odd goal in 7 in Hamburg in that Euro Hockey trophy, the Tier 1, the second division of the Euro Hockey competitions. And Surbiton next season, as they were 2 years ago, will be back in the EHL main, representing England as they are. The 9th time, the EHL champions, this time of 2024. Hampstead Westminster, just a quick word on them of what they will take out of this season, and very quickly how they'll come back next year stronger.
Well, they had a turbulent start to the season with the situation around a new coach, and I think I know chatting to Dave Cooper about that, it wasn't ideal coming in quite late on in the season, but what they've achieved in the latter half of this season, a European place in the trophy competition next year, I think they can be pretty proud of where they are and what they've done.
I think regarding their performances over the last season, I think you could almost say that they overachieved today.
Andy Halliday, Tess Howard, thank you for your time. Congratulations to Surbiton. Commiserations to Hampstead Westminster. It is Surbiton that are our 2024 EHL Women's Premier Division champions.